I am High Interrogator Vespera. This data slate, designated Angel Exterminatus, has been flagged by my augurs for containing revisionist histories and heretical sympathies. I will conduct this review personally. The stain of the arch-traitor must be expunged, even from memory. The picked file is bisected, a crude but effective visual metaphor. On one side, the scarred, unyielding iron of the Ivy Legion, the Iron Warriors. Theirs is a history of thankless siegecraft and bitter resentment, embodied by their master, the Primarch Perturabo. On the other, the shimmering, decadent silks of the Three Legion, the Emperor's children. They sought perfection, and in their pride, found only damnation under their Primarch, the Palatine Phoenix, Fulgrim. This alliance, forged to secure the xenos weapon Angel Exterminatus in the Iydris system, was a lie. It was a stage for the most profound of betrayals. The Primarch of the Iron Warriors himself is recorded as saying to his brother, "Hamame, you are a serpent, I am a hydra, we are all of us monsters." He did not know the depths of the truth he spoke. This is not a tragedy. Tragedy implies a fall from grace. This is a record of damnation willingly embraced, the Apotheosis of the Palatine Phoenix. It is the story of how a son of the Emperor completed his ascension into a creature of the warp. We will now dissect the events at Iydris, layer by layer, to understand how perfection curdles into corruption and brotherhood into bitter ash. Examine the schematics of this heresy. The Mockery Angel Exterminatus was never a weapon of metal and circuits. It was a myth, a lie, crafted to ensnare a specific mind. The lure was an artifact of the fallen Aeldari, a superweapon so potent it consumed its own creators, a fact conveniently omitted from the proposal. The promise was one of apocalyptic finality, a power before which even stars were said to flee. This was the bait, and it was perfectly cast. The Warmaster's grand betrayal had devolved into a grinding war of attrition, a stalemate that deeply offended the logical, methodical mind of Perturabo, Primarch of the Iron Warriors. Into this frustration came his brother, Fulgrim, offering a key to decisive victory. The Phoenician promised an end to the siege of Terra before it even began, a strategic prize the Lord of Iron could not, in his arrogance, refuse. It was a simple equation of overwhelming force, the only logic Perturabo truly respected. And so two Primarchs, one driven by cold ambition and the other hollowed by profane appetites, set a course for the Eye of Terror. One believed he was hunting a weapon to end the war. He was tragically mistaken. He was the one being hunted. Perfection was their shared altar, yet they worshipped with profoundly different rites. One sought flawlessness in the cold, hard logic of an unbreakable fortress. The other, in the fleeting, ecstatic peak of sensation. The Lord of Iron, Perturabo, pursued his goal through rigid discipline. His was a perfection of numbers, of methodical planning and grinding attrition. His legion's aesthetic mirrored his soul, austere, burnished warplate covered in the amber dust of 1,000 shattered citadels. His ultimate desire was not glory, but validation, a simple acknowledgement of his unbreakable siegecraft. Across the moral chasm stood the Phoenician. Fulgrim's method was narcissism given form, a debauched chase of sensory extremes. His legion's pristine arts gave way to gaudy, chaotic noise, to shifting pastels and gold that offended the eye and the soul. For him, transcendence was not found in endurance, but in excess. A Slaneshi self-obsession so complete it became a beacon for the Dark Prince himself. Two brothers, united by obsession, divided by its very definition. This philosophical rivalry, this curdled pride, was a lit fuse. It would not smoulder in isolation, but was destined to be brought to bear upon a single, unsuspecting world. The muster on Hydrocaudatus was a testament to the Fourth Legion's grim efficiency. Ranks of grey ceramite and cold iron stood in silent, unbreakable formation. This brutalist perfection was then violated. From the void, without declination or warning, over 300 dropcraft descended, bearing the sigil of the Third Legion. Perturabo, Lord of Iron, observed the disembarkation with mounting disgust. His brother Fulgrim's warriors were changed. Their armor was a riot of clashing, obscene color, their flesh warped into disturbing new forms. He noted their lack of cohesion, their vox discipline a chaotic hiss of pained ecstasy and discordant music. They were a mockery of the Astartes ideal. Yet the Phoenician himself came with a promise, a lure for the master of siegecraft, a superweapon of unimaginable power. Despite every tactical instinct screaming of heresy and trap, Perturabo's own ambition was hijacked. The promise to wield a weapon that could break any fortress, even Terra itself, overrode the cold logic that had defined him. And so, a pact was sealed in suspicion and pride. The Lord of Iron committed his legion's strength to his debased brother's cause, yoking the disciplined to the decadent. He would provide the cold, hard logic of the siege, while Fulgrim would provide the target. Fulgrim the Phoenician offered his brother Perturabo a gift. It was presented as a token of their renewed alliance, a soft ermine cloak, but the garment was a distraction. Its fastener, a chromed steel skull, concealed the true mechanism of betrayal, the Harvester. This Morgatar stone, a black gem threaded with gold, was a parasitic chaos artifact. It was a psychic leech, designed to passively siphon the very life essence of a Primarch. With every passing moment it was worn, it bled Perturabo's power, his resentment, and his bitterness, harvesting it all to fuel his treacherous brother's profane ascension. At the blind heart of the Eye of Terra, where warp stuff and reality bleed into a maelstrom of impossibilities, hangs the target. Iydris. Our xenosavants classify it as a lost Aeldari Crone world, a ghost relic of that decadent empire, allegedly favored by their phantom goddess Lilith. It defies all natural law, suspended over a supermassive black hole, not by technology, but by blasphemy. The planet is anchored against the gravitational hellstorm by the psychic residue of its dead populace, billions of screaming Aeldari souls forming a bulwark against oblivion. A world of ghosts, preserved as what our intelligence designates the perfect crucible for a dark ritual. Such a profane nexus of soul energy, a weapon forged from a dead species' anguish, could not remain a secret. It was only a matter of time before a will of sufficient malice sought to claim it for his own dark purpose. Observe the trajectory of Damnation. Having secured the heretical Morgatar stone, the Fourth Legion plunged into the Eye of Terra not with caution, but with the arrogant certainty of masters. They believed they could navigate hell. Their path was a calculated trifecta of hubris. First, breaching the veil of reality itself, tearing a passage into the warp storm with cold, brutal efficiency. Second, evading a gravitational singularity, a feat of stellar navigation that fed their pride, believing mastery over physical laws granted them immunity from metaphysical corruption. All the while, they approached their true objective, the Slaneshi corrupted core, a nexus of excess and sensation that they, in their ignorance, sought to conquer. Yet, our analysis reveals the truth. Unbeknownst to the Iron Warriors, the very artifact they prized, the Morgatar stone, was a parasite. With every league closer to the core, it accelerated its harvest of their Primarch's strength, draining Perturabo's essence to fuel an unknown, treacherous purpose. The Lord of Iron was a master of the siege, yet he failed to recognize the enemy already inside his walls. As his fleet sails toward the heart of temptation, his own power is being turned against him, and the question becomes not if the fortress will fall, but what will emerge from its ruins. Even in Damnation, the arch-traitors cannot escape their nature. The siege of the Sepulchre was, for the Primarch Perturabo, a problem of logistics and force application. For his brother Fulgrim, it was an act of exquisite, debased art. The Lord of Iron deployed his Fourth Legion with cold efficiency. Their objective, as their master saw it, a standard planetary assault to secure the perimeter and breach the tomb of the weapon. Orbital lances hammered the world, and methodical siege lines advanced. But the Phoenician had other designs. His warriors, the degenerate sons of the Third, did not fight for territory. They fought to create a canvas of suffering. Every shell that landed, every warrior who fell on both sides was a brushstroke. Our analysis confirms the engagement was a calculated distraction. Its purpose was to use the very violence of the siege to awaken massive reserves of soul energy dormant in the planet's core, a psychic feast for the god of excess. Fulgrim was not helping his brother claim a prize. He was using his brother's legion as the sacrificial knife. Perturabo's forces believed they were breaching a tomb to claim an artifact. In reality, their every action was hastening the birth of an entirely different kind of weapon, one forged not of metal, but of pure, unbound sensation. The true prize was never in the sepulchre. The campaign on the world of Iydris was a masterpiece of brutal misdirection. Within the sepulchre of Aisha's doom, the Primarch Perturabo believed he was seeking a weapon of ultimate power. He was mistaken. He was the ammunition. Observe the grim calculus of betrayal. On the left, the Lord of Iron, his legendary resilience failing, his flesh withering in its ceramite shell. This is the effect of the xenos artifact Fulgrim had him carry, the Harvester. Every battle fought in the alien city, every drop of blood spilt by the Iron Warriors, was not a cost of victory, but a tithe of soul stuff. That energy was siphoned directly into his brother. Opposite him, Fulgrim swells with stolen power, the Phoenician a vessel of raw imperial energy on the cusp of apotheosis. Perturabo's singular, obsessive focus on the objective of flaw his brother knew so well blinded him to the fact that the true siege was against his own life. The Harvester was nearing capacity. The slow drain was becoming a torrent. But for a Primarch to be reborn as a Daemon Prince, a simple draining is insufficient. A final, climactic act of sacrifice is required to consecrate the ascension. The crumbling citadel of Amon Ny Shak-Kaelis was a monument to Aeldari arrogance, a tomb floating in the void. Down the impossible architecture of the spiral, the Primarch Perturabo began his solitary descent. This was no mission of salvation, it was a reckoning. He sought his brother, Fulgrim, whose depravities had become a liability even to the traitor cause. With every step, the Lord of Iron felt the structure's hateful resonance. Below, a psychic ocean churned the core, a massive reservoir of distilled Aeldari life essence. The very presence of the Phoenician caused this spirit well to boil in hateful recognition. His taunts echoed up the chasm, a poisonously sweet melody.
Hurry, brother, the audience grows restless. Can you not feel their exquisite sorrow? It is the song of our apotheosis.
Perturabo reached the nadir, his cold fury a fortress against the psychic storm. He had come to chain a monster, but the Lord of Iron had not accounted for the will of the dead. The Aeldari essence was not merely an echo, it was coalescing, preparing its own final, vengeful strike against the servants of the great enemy. The Angel Exterminatus was never a weapon. It was a title, dangled by the Serpent Fulgrim before his brother Perturabo, a grand illusion to lure the master of iron and stone into the heart of a xenos ghost world. The objective was Iydris, a Crone world saturated with millennia of psychic death echoes. Perturabo and his legion were the key, their peerless siegecraft the unwitting instrument of Fulgrim's apotheosis. There was no superweapon to be claimed, only a ritual to be fed. The Phoenician required two catalysts, the soul energy of the dying world and the lifeblood of a fellow Primarch. On the precipice of godhood, Fulgrim revealed his treachery. The record is clear.
You have betrayed me.
The Serpent's reply was poison.
I am the Angel Exterminatus, and I am beautiful.
Fulgrim achieved his blasphemous ascension, becoming a creature of the warp. But the Lord of Iron, though grievously wounded and his trust utterly annihilated, was not consumed. His retribution, the blow from his Warhammer Forgebreaker, would fail to kill the new demon, but it would ensure the bitterness of this betrayal festered into its own unique and terrible heresy. The duel between Primarchs on the Crone world of Iydris was not a simple contest of might, it was a ritual of apotheosis, and it was violently interrupted. With the arrival of loyalist Iron Hands from the starship Sisypheum, the confrontation became a three-way battle, adding the iron-hard fury of the betrayed to an already volatile crucible. Fulgrim, in his arrogance, sought to drain the very soul from his brother Perturabo, using a xenos device named the Harvester to fuel his own dark ascension. But in the ensuing chaos, a single operative enacted a shift in galactic history. A sniper's bolt, fired by the Raven Guard Nikona Shirokin, found its mark. The Harvester shattered in a blast of golden light. Instantly, Perturabo's stolen life force, a torrent of psychic agony and raw vitality, snapped back into its rightful vessel. The backlash upon the thief was immediate and absolute. Fulgrim's body convulsed in sympathetic resonance, overwhelmed by the unleashed, mingled essences of his brother's soul and the warp entity he had bargained with. The shattering was not an end, it was a catalyst. For Perturabo, it was a humiliating reprieve. For Fulgrim, it was the final, agonizing prelude to a monstrous new beginning, as the psychic schism in his soul began to tear open the gateway to true damnation. Convinced his brother was beyond all redemption, Perturabo stepped into the role of executioner. All fraternal bonds were dust, all shared history and illusion. There was only the heretic and the sentence. The thunderous impact of Forgebreaker was the only eulogy. The Lord of Iron's legendary warhammer, once a gift from a loyal brother, now became an instrument of fratricide. It split the Phoenician's body wide open, a grotesque parody of creation. But Perturabo's cold calculus had failed him. He had fallen into the ultimate trap. For this act of destruction was not an ending. It was a catalyst. The breaking of the mortal shell was the final, profane ritual required by Fulgrim to release the boundless warp energy bound within. As the last vestiges of Fulgrim's physical form dissolved into raw energy, the air grew thick with the scent of forbidden pleasure and impossible color. The death of the mortal shell was complete, but something else now writhed in its place, preparing to emerge. The birth of a false god is a precise alchemy of heresy. On the Crone world of Iydris, within a desecrated Slaaneshi shrine, the final ingredients for damnation were assembled to orchestrate a Primarch's demonic apotheosis. The ritual demanded a price of unimaginable scale. The harvested souls of an ancient psychic race, their torment a symphony for the Prince of Pleasure, provided the raw power. To this, the degenerate Captain Eidolon added a stolen, corrupted measure of Primarch essence itself, a blasphemous amplification of Fulgrim's own being. This profane mixture was poured into the Phoenician, forcing the death of his mortal shell. The transformation was absolute. His flesh ran fluid. His legs fused into a reptilian tail. His once perfect face was framed by obsidian horns as he shed his humanity to ascend into the warp. Apotheosis was not the end of his story. It was the birth of the monster at the heart of it. Now a true creature of the warp, the Phoenician's gaze fell upon his brother Primarch, Perturabo, with a new, insidious purpose. We come now to the final act of betrayal, the event horizon of heresy from which there is no return. Observe the price of pride and the wages of despair. The Crone world of Iydris collapses, its soul engine stolen. The architect of this final betrayal, the Serpent Fulgrim, escapes into the ether, leaving his brother to perish. But Perturabo, the Lord of Iron, is a creature of bitter resilience. Betrayed and heartbroken, yet his indomitable will remains. Clinging to the poisoned promise that they will meet again, he makes a choice not of logic, but of pure, desperate spite. He orders his fleet forward, not in retreat, but as a final, defiant charge directly into the nascent black hole of the Eye of Terra. It is a gambit to survive the impossible, paid for with the soul of his entire legion. The tragedy is complete. The master of the siege is broken. The true monster is born. This concludes our review. The ultimate heresy is not merely turning from the Emperor's light, but the choice to embrace damnation as salvation. In his unending bitterness, Perturabo became the very thing he despised. Thought for the day. An open mind is like a fortress with its gates unbarred and unguarded. Subscribe to these archives for continued enlightenment, and comment below to designate which records of heresy require our immediate audit.